Hello, Mr. Ambassador.
It's good to see you, Topi.
It's been 22 years since the establishment of US-Azerbaijani diplomatic relations. Could you please elaborate on, share your views on the ups and downs or the positive advantages and disadvantages of the US-Azerbaijani relations?
Well, first of all, it's hard to believe that it's been 22 years already. And I first came to Azerbaijan 19 years ago. And time does fly by. I think overall the relationship has been very good. We have many areas of shared interests. We are, of course, very concerned about democratic and economic reform. These are areas that we need to continue to work together on. As you know, we were disappointed with how the elections went from the standpoint of process. So, which emphasizes that that's an area that we need to keep working on. At the same time, we have many shared interests that we both have a stake in that we have to continue working on. There are geopolitical and security issues, such as Nagorno-Karabakh, counterterrorism, cooperation, very good cooperation with respect to Afghanistan, all of which are very important, both to the United States and to Azerbaijan. And it's in our common interest to continue to work on those issues. It's also important, we believe, to continue to work on energy issues, and which I know you're going to ask me more about, and also issues relating to the non-energy sector of the economy, including issues such as WTO accession. Having said that, our strongest relationships are with democratic countries, and this is an area that we need to continue to work closely with together with Azerbaijan.
In the 22nd anniversary of the diplomatic relations between our two countries, some local media outlets accused US ambassador in the overthrow attempts. Could you please elaborate on that?
Well, I will categorically say that the United States is not at all interested in regime change or the overthrow of the government. That's just patently ridiculous. The political future of Azerbaijan is up to the people of Azerbaijan.
Mr. Ambassador, currently there is a tension going on the line of contact between Armenia and Azerbaijan. What do you think? How do you think this affects the negotiation process?
Well, we're very concerned about it, and we have made very clear to both Azerbaijan and Armenia that escalated tensions on the line of contact are not at all helpful to the peace process. And there's always a danger of miscalculation and inadvertent consequences that could make the situation worse, and we want to make sure that that does not happen. And we regret the tragic loss of life on both sides of the line. At the same time, the two presidents did meet in November and had some constructive negotiations as to how to resolve the conflict. We think it is very important that those conversations continue and that the two presidents work towards resolution. And the Minsk group is there to mediate, to facilitate, and to offer ideas. So we can only hope that there will be progress.
This year marks the 20th anniversary of the contract of the century. Generally speaking, how would you characterize the successes and failures of America's Caspian energy policy during this time?
Well, I think, first of all, the relationship between the United States and Azerbaijan in the energy area has been excellent, and I think there have been some very major successes. The Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline has been a major success, and I had the privilege to work on it. There have also been recent successes in the development of the so-called Southern Gas Corridor, with the selection of a pipeline and the final investment decision to go forward with the Sharkey's project. I think we were able to play a constructive role with respect to the Southern Gas Corridor, and I think we will continue to do so. I can't think of anything that I would characterize as a failure at this point. I would only emphasize that the relationship with respect to energy is very good, and I'm sure it will continue to be so.
Let me say that over the past 5 years, American companies have not been actively investing in the Caspian region. Even in 2013, ConocoPhillips left Kazakhstan Kashagan project. What are the reasons behind all of that?
Well, first of all, I think there has been strong investment in the Caspian by American companies. The ACG project has involved major American companies. Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan likewise. It's true that there are no American companies that are partners in Sharkey's, although BP is certainly a global company, and you may remember merged with a major American company and has many assets in the United States. I would also add that American companies are still very much interested in new projects in Azerbaijan. And I talked to the major American international companies often about the projects that they have interest, in which they have interest. American companies will be very able to provide technical cooperation as well as share the financial risk in some very complicated new projects that are on that will take place or begin over the next few years.
What are the main dangers for foreign investors in Azerbaijan? Are these dangers more related to political, economic, financial, democratic, or human rights issues?
I think you have to look at it a couple of ways. Certainly, from a direct standpoint, economic and financial risks would be the most important from the standpoint of companies. I think there are very significant economic opportunities for American companies, not just in the energy area, but also in non-energy sectors such as information technology, agriculture, other areas. But there are issues that Azerbaijan needs to continue to work on. Customs reform will be important. Enactment, ultimately, of a competition code will be important. Investors will have to be satisfied that they will be able to deal in a very straightforward and transparent way with the government, and not face undue competition issues with some of the large monopolistic firms that are here in Azerbaijan. WTO accession will also be very important, because that will to join the WTO, there'll have to be reforms that I think will very much encourage investment. You mentioned political, democratic, and human rights issues, and I don't want to ignore those from the standpoint of investment. I think investors would look at that more on a longer-term basis. We believe that democratic and economic reform are very important to the stability of Azerbaijan over the mid and long term. And companies would also very much have an interest in that kind of stability, so that they would be able to operate in a predictable environment. So at the end of the day, all of these issues do relate to each other.
United States declared that it supports Trans-Adriatic Pipeline (TAP). How would the US deal with the possible political risks if they arise?
Well, when you talk about the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline, you're really talking about that part of the project that will go through Greece and Italy, as well as into some of the Balkan countries. So I assume then that you're not talking about risks in the Caucasus. But the political risk issues on the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline are issues for them to consider. We think that the risks in countries like Greece and Italy are very acceptable. Greece and Italy and many of the Balkan countries that would be involved, well, some of the Balkan countries anyway, are part of the European Union or are becoming associated with the European Union. And I think that there ultimately is certainly political stability in those countries, even with various changes in government. I suppose the biggest issues might revolve around local permitting, issues such as those. I think they will ultimately be taken care of.
How do you evaluate the possibility of realization of Trans-Caspian Pipeline? Is it seems possible, feasible?
We hope so. We've always been a supporter of a Trans-Caspian gas pipeline. I've been involved off and on working on such a pipeline since 1998. But this is a matter that is being negotiated between the European Union, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan, and it's really up to those countries. I am hopeful that with the final investment decision on Shah Deniz, so that there is much more certainty as to a gas pipeline coming from Baku, that Turkmenistan will become more interested over the coming years, even more interested in a Trans-Caspian gas pipeline. We certainly believe that if Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and the European Union agree on such a pipeline, that it should happen.
There are negotiations underway between Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, US, Turkmenistan, EU, Turkmenistan in this regard, in this direction.
Although the United States is certainly interested in such a pipeline, we're not involved in negotiations. It's between Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and the European Union. I should add that Turkey and Georgia also certainly have an interest, and although they're not involved in the direct three-way negotiations, they've certainly been had a say in these discussions.
Have the United States started activities, projects related to shale gas and oil development, oil exploitation in the Mesozoic structures? What is the current status of these activities?
Very beginning. I think the process is in very beginning stages. There are some companies that do have an interest, but it's too soon to tell how much of a factor it will be here in Azerbaijan.
Back in mid-90s, United States or US, to be exact, US companies were interested in investing in oil refining and petrochemical operations in Azerbaijan. What is the current status of that endeavor in the country?
Well, there are still companies that are interested in getting involved in the refinery process here, and there are potential projects, but I'm really not able to speak about particular companies because that is so-called business confidential.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for the interview.